I was telling my brother the other day, there's a hadith that the end of time won't come until a man's shoe talks to him. Now, when I first read that hadith, it just sounded so far-fetched to me. It really sounded strange as a hadith. I mean, I admit that. When I read it, I was thinking, why would anybody have a shoe that talked? You know, although I'm living in an age of miracles and wonders.
Interesting times.
Yeah, no, it is. It's the boy in the bubble and the baby with the baboon heart, right? It's very odd time. So you have, if you look at this hadith about the talking shoe, so I read that years ago, and well, lo and behold, a couple months ago, I'm reading the New York Times, and there's an article, these shoes are made for talking. And the article was about Nike produced a shoe now that tells you in a digital voice, you can ask it, how far have you walked? And it'll tell you in a digital voice, you have walked 2.5 miles. So when I told my brother that, he said, that's prophecy. Right? He's a lawyer. I mean, lawyers, they deal in evidence. Right? He just said to me, that's prophecy, to see that.
Your average pace is 7:15. Two miles to go. You completed 30 minutes 27 seconds.
Where would you start?
I would start with talking to the American people and talking to the world and conveying a new image of American leadership, a new image of America's role in the world. The problems will always be there, and there's going to be a crisis come along on the 21st or 22nd of January that we don't even know about right now.
going to be not so much wars in the Middle East, but wars on a greater scale. Because Brzezinski says the center of power in the world is not Iran, it's Moscow and Beijing. And therefore, Brzezinski is determined to smash, essentially, Russia and China in the next period ahead in order to let the U.S. British world domination go on for another 100 years. Now, that's the project. That's more ambitious than any neocon, and it's more adventurous, and it's more dangerous. So people in Europe had better wake up that silly romantic illusion they have about Obama is going to be suicidal for them if they don't understand this. The guy is a puppet of the worst circles of imperialism. In other words, he's interested in the same imperialist project carried out in a much more effective and clever way, although ultimately in a more insane way. Let's just take the case of Iran. The neocon looks at Iran and says, somebody like McCain, right? He says, we want to bomb Iran. Brzezinski says, you're crazy. You can't do that. You're too weak. You're too bankrupt. You're too isolated. You're too hated. You know what you do with Iran, says Brzezinski? He says, I don't want Iran at war with the United States. I want Iran at war with Russia. Let's turn Iran into a tool, into a puppet, and play Iran against Russia. And Brzezinski said, I show you how to do that. I played Afghanistan against the Soviets, and I destroyed the Soviets. So if we look at Syria, the neocon looks at Syria and says, let's attack Syria. Brzezinski says, you're crazy, don't do that. Make a deal with Syria. There's a very important Russian naval base and a place called Kharkiv.